Actually, I have a dick in my face every time.
It's a big old dick.
On the edge.
So for those of you that
It's not prosciutto.
it's not that high quality. It's not that ham off the bone.
No.
Yeah, taking names.
We're just doing a sound check.
Blockhead. And learning what we can.
Yeah, Dave, can you be the bad guy so I don't sound like the bad guy all the time? Before me and Kyle
your
are
fucking
become
shit
not
together.
friends anymore.
Blockhead. Blockhead.
Hi, I'm your host, Rudy.
I'm your host, Donny.
I'm your host, Kyle.
And
welcome to Blockhead Nation.
Welcome, guys.
That was better than last time.
I think it was a little
Hey,
better
guys.
than last time. Kyle, you want to go to Jurassic Park or anything else? Any other places you want?
Welcome to SeaWorld.
To SeaWorld.
Oh,
SeaWorld.
That's all I have.
We don't condone the captivation of animals against their will, but I do like going to SeaWorld on occasion.
SeaWorld has
I do.
caught
It's
a
pretty
lot of let's address the elephant in the room already. We have microphones. We feel very regal.
We're in a new
Oh, yeah.
place, guys.
It's
we're,
a
in
new-
we're in a new studio.
Fun fact, Rudy convinces me like on a bi-monthly basis to rent this place. to come
Yeah,
here, but-
I try to convince Kyle to get out of his mother's basement, and
yeah, I love
come
that
here,
basement.
but-
I love being a basement dweller though. I just wanna-
it's not a bad spot.
Well, this is a basement, so you'd
This
still
is
be
it.
a basement.
I'll
dweller.
probably
You're
ride
welcome.
it out for a couple more decades.
Yeah, maybe when you're in your
And-
50s, then you can make the jump.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I was thinking maybe just work at Cumberland Farms and take groceries home from there and
Yeah.
take them into the basement and just
Do they get a discount? You know,
I think so.
10,
Yeah.
probably 15%.
probably.
I mean, I would hope so.
You could live. You could
Cumberland
live.
Farms
I have-
is
I have-
actually awesome. There's none around me, and I can't stand it. Dave,
Yeah, I appreciate
Dave brought
it.
in his Cumberland Farms coffee today, and big shout out to Dave right now because
Yeah, big shout out to Dave.
guys, everything you're seeing right now, the studio, the production, the fact that it looks 100 times more official than the clips that we have out there.
All right, yeah, we got to shout out. All right,
It's
so
Dave.
It's
yourself-
Dave. Dave is our
get yourself
production
a
guy. Get yourself a Dave. It needs to go on a t-shirt.
Oh, I like that.
All right,
on a
merch
Blockhead
coming soon.
t-shirt.
I like
So-
that. You can see a little bit of that around, and we'll probably do a couple drops. I don't know. We'll get it out there eventually.
Yeah, I feel like we're being like arbitrary and capricious. Let's be serious right now. Dave Lewis, shout out, our production guy, my stepbrother of many years, has really swooped in to save us with his
Yep.
consultation. You guys saw in the first episode, we've been meeting since June, virtually. Ryan, Rudy, and I. A lot of ideas. This is not easy. It is fun, but Dave is a great addition because without him, we'd be in the woods.
Right. The
Yes.
truth is, and we're gonna get into a little bit of trust and honesty this episode,
Absolutely.
but the truth is it's a real team effort.
That just gave me an idea for a future segment. Truth is,
I'm
I like
excited.
that, yeah.
I'm excited.
I
But yeah, you need
have
to
great
build
ideas.
out. Yeah, we were speaking about building out a team, right? And Dave is he completes the 4 squares of the block.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has his
Yes.
merch. He has his merch now, and he is now the 4th member of Blockhead Nation, and we are absolutely
Yeah,
thrilled to have him.
we're
It's not
looking
even
at
funny.
we're looking
It's
at
crazy.
Dave Lewis right now. I'm looking at him in the eyes.
Yeah, and it makes it easy to smile too because it's
He
like you were
does.
just looking at him, and it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, so to get into this episode, guys, we're basically launching a 5-episode series. It's the Blockhead series. The last episode, we hope you watched it. It's on all platforms right now. Well, not all, but Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Check it out. In the title of the podcast is vulnerability, right?
That was the theme of our. That was
It
the
was a
first.
theme.
That was the first. So all right.
It was,
So
it was the over.
I'll help you out a little bit.
Arcing theme
Arcing theme,
of the first episode in the series.
Yes,
And
and
then
in a most recent meeting, Ryan had a great idea. We want it. So really being, we like to be funny, but really getting into it. We want to deliver. Ryan had the idea to deliver, kind of like a season, if you will, right? Our episodes will be like kind of season 1, I guess. I don't know what they use in podcast terms, but I'm new to the game. But Ryan had the idea to have blocks of basically a series, right, of our main building blocks that
Yep.
we want to deliver to the people.
Right.
And the first one was vulnerability,
Yeah.
Yep.
and This was all your idea the other night.
We were on Zoom and we were thinking about the overarching theme or the topic for the next episode. And actually, Rudy was like, it should be something in the vein of trust and honesty, right? And that is the topic of this episode.
Yeah.
And then
episode 2.
I was thinking, and I said, well, maybe we should go through the 5 most important, the core values that we feel are the foundational blocks for Blockhead Nation. So by building those, everyone can really get to know where we are, where we stand, and what we're trying to do with this thing.
Yeah.
And then that will build the foundation. After that, we're looking to do a lot more collaborations, have guests on. But
Yes.
I think to really have a 5-episode series and build on those foundational blocks of what Blockhead Nation is and what this community is out to accomplish is really, I think, a great way to hopefully start. And we
and really, I mean, those characteristics are necessary in any endeavor. It's not just Blockhead Nation, but these are the core values, and I think this is what's really necessary. These characteristics are necessary to build that team and to build that community and to build that rapport with everybody that's around you so that you can be successful, right?
Okay, well, I guess that brings us right into, we wanted to start off this episode 2, Trust and Honesty, with corrections from the first episode, right? To really just correct on what we made mistakes on. I don't have any material in front of me, so we'll have to go off of memory here. But one of the first things that I thought was pretty funny was,
Hold on. The title of this is Correction Section.
Correction section. This is the correction section.
Correction section.
Yeah, Kyle thought of that, and I'm glad that he got to say it. I
Yeah,
didn't leave
plug
it
that
out
in
because
there.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's the correction.
It's so fun.
It is now the correction section. So the first correction that I wanted to make that I thought was really funny. I'm trying to keep in front of the microphone, as you can see. It's important.
You
Dave gave us some tutoring before this.
Yeah.
But
right.
the first thing that I thought was really funny is when I told the story about Key and Peele, and I was like Huckle McBuckle.
Yeah.
And then Kyle was like, Huckle McBuckle my boot. And it's
That's all I could.
that is an
Yeah, that's all I
iconic
have.
character. Anybody who likes Key and Peele knows this. It's Hingle McCringleberry. So shout out to
that's
Key and
even
Peele.
better.
We made a mistake. We couldn't think of the name.
But
it's Hingle
Kyle,
McCring-
great on the fly thought, though, right? Huckle
I
McBuckle
tried.
my boat.
I don't
Like,
even think they
That's
do that in the
right.
episode either.
no,
Yeah.
I mean that
it's actually
it
amazing.
works.
Yeah.
It works.
I did see that episode years ago, but Hingle McCringleberry.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. So that's his character, and it's I think it's key. Yeah, it's Key. No, it's Peele.
Listen, I'm really glad you put the universe and the world at rest and in balance
Straight.
by correcting.
I'm
that.
sure so many people were bothered by that. All
What
20.
the hell?
But we had a good amount of.
buckle.
all 4.5 listeners.
That's so awesome. So so we already gave Dave a shout out. We wanted to do that in this section, but the other thing was correction wise, we referenced to it. When you hear our intro song, you'll actually hear us going back and forth with some concerns. And the reason for that was because we didn't have a Dave.
Mm-hmm.
We actually missed an entire hour of video recording. Luckily, we had the whole thing on audio, and that was actually our second time. So we had some technical difficulties the first time doing it. This is about honesty, right? So we're being honest, and that's really building things, right, block by block. So we couldn't even really put out an episode the first time.
Yeah, we tried twice.
Yep.
And it was
Probably-
I think one iPhone had better quality than the other, and I think we went for 45 minutes, and it recorded 8 seconons of us
True. Yeah.
creating magic.
Probably a combined waste of
45 minutes.
10 hours worth of just not. I don't want to say waste. This is everything's a learning experience at this point, right? So we spent one full day trying to produce one episode. Then we spent a whole nother day actually producing an episode that we could piece together and use, right?
Yes.
So if nothing else, we learned a lot. And here we are with a much better setup.
It's been corrected.
It's been corrected.
Yeah.
This is the correction. So one other thing that I wanted to throw in with the correction section is it was a little bit choppy at parts. And so I want to take accountability for this. I think we're going to really maybe, I don't want to say perfect it, but we are going to be very close to having the smoothest, nicest audio you have ever heard.
I really hope you didn't just jinx us right there because we don't have a back.
All right,
Well,
that brings me to Dave. Did you want? Are we still recording?
yeah, are we
those
good? Is
phones
everything
okay?
looking good? Everything's
Those
looking
phones
good.
are
All right,
right.
that's good.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
Well,
if you,
cool.
I trust
And
Dave.
that's honesty, right? And we had to be honest with ourselves to be like, you know what, we're cutting corners.
Yeah.
Because we met a lot of times.
Yeah.
You could say, oh, we put in X amount of hours, but at the end of the day, you can do a lot of work, but not actually do the right work, right?
So the message is cutting corners. This is why we have a correction section.
Yeah.
You want to utilize the correction section the least amount of times as possible because that means that you're making less mistakes.
But
Yeah,
you also
but-
want to be accountable.
Here's a good message.
Accountable.
Yeah, accountability and not to be afraid to make mistakes because you can go back and fix them and it shouldn't deter you from the goal.
And that's
Right.
I wanted to bring that to a head. That is being honest with yourself and trusting each other to be like, okay, we need to bring somebody else in, i.e. Dave.
Yeah.
And we need to know that this isn't good enough.
Yeah.
And because we wanted to put out the video as well. But the video, it just was too choppy. We had two different videos and we decided just to go with audio only. But then we were able to put something out there, which the feedback's been pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been really good
Thank you,
feedback so
anybody
far.
that's taken the
Yeah.
hour 15 to listen and provide that feedback. It's valuable to us.
Absolutely.
We're going to try and improve every single episode. And like I said, it's just building block by block. We're going to continue to improve. And with that truth that's coming from you all, it'll help us improve.
And that was so cool too. Like some of my friends, like, shout out Brendan. He was one of the first people
Yeah,
to listen to it. My buddy
BK.
Brendan. No, other Brendan. So two
Oh,
Brendans.
two
listened to it.
Brendans.
My
Oh,
buddy
yeah.
Brendan, B tits.
B tits.
B titty.
Hey.
From work though. From work, right? And he no, but he was like,
It's a bad nickname.
he's so funny, titty. So B tits. So he'll like
Sorry,
that.
Brennan.
He's Canadian, right? So he's always just shoots it straight down the
Yeah.
core.
But the nicest possible way that you can, probably.
Right down the-
I
right
mean,
down the-
Canadian.
Yeah.
That's the state.
But he's like he's a hockey player, so
Yeah.
he's a little
Oh,
more
yeah.
stern with it.
Gotcha.
And he's like, guys, honestly, I was able to listen to it. I didn't feel like it was forceful, and I really enjoyed it. So I wanted to give him a shout out because that was
That's
really
awesome.
cool.
Good stuff.
And just to close out the corrections section,
Mm.
I wanted to say one more thing. The entire episode, I was saying overarching theme, but I think it's overarching theme.
The overarching team. Yeah.
Can
Yeah, I
you
don't
say
know.
it both ways, or I didn't? I wanted to research it, but I didn't.
I would have said
Because-
it arch.
I think it's one of those things where it could be both, but
Can
I
it
think
be both?
I'd love
Yeah, I
for
think
the
it can be
viewers to
both.
get in a debate about
So
that.
it would be
Let's-
cool.
you
I
can
want
message
so,
us.
yeah.
You
Please
can-
leave a comment or message below.
Which
also
is
subscribe.
Yeah.
But please let us know if it's overarching or arching. Or so, Rudy, your aunt.
Yeah.
If you want to give her a shout out.
So
We're still friends.
my aunt Judy was able to take a listen, and what she said is we really need to give some background about ourselves so that we can build some credibility. Donny said early on prior to the recording that we're catering to maybe the 400 people that are following us on Instagram, but they might not be the only people listening. We could have
Yeah,
a
well,
larger
that's the
audience.
goal,
So we
right?
need to
Yeah, yeah.
sort of say who we are, say where we're from, say what we do, and say why we're doing what we're doing, which was covered a bit in the first episode. So if you haven't heard that one yet, please go back and listen to it. But as far as our backgrounds, our individual backgrounds, my name's Rudy Sacco. I'm from Berkshire County, Dalton, Washington, Massachusetts originally. And I grew up there, went to school in Springfield, got a job in defense. That's really huge for me and how I was able to sort of progress professionally. Right now I'm a consultant. I implement OneStream software, but I also like to do this stuff. I like to work out. I like to start side ventures. I like to buy real estate. And I think on the whole, I'm a family man first, and try to give most of my attention to them. But I do have some fun on the side, just hanging out with the boys.
This is
Do
the
fun on the side.
Absolutely.
I would say you're a very dedicated family man for sure.
Try to do that
I'd say-
first
I'd
and
say,
foremost.
from the outside looking in, I think you.
Yeah, no, family's so important to me. I mean, I come from a large family, and my my mom's side of the family has 11 brothers and sisters, and my dad's side of the family has 8 surviving brothers and sisters.
Wow.
So large family, and that is has been so helpful for me and impactful throughout my years and helped me get to where I am. I really couldn't be here without them and the friends that I have. So
yeah, and I think what's nice about sharing, so that criticism, not criticism, feedback.
Yeah.
The critique, I guess you could say, but it's positive when people listen and they're like, hey, you should do this.
Yeah.
We want people to do that. We want people to say, like,
yeah,
it's some people that know us better to tell us maybe what direction to go in. We're open to feedback. So
absolutely. Yeah. If you guys have ideas, please just
and
send them along.
Yeah.
The thing you said about real estate and stuff, I know we have talked about potentially owning property together.
Yeah.
Actually. So there are things that you talked about just now that we want to relate back to the listeners who, for people that, for people that might be interested in owning properties or starting a business, or, again, we're trying to capture these blocks to give to people where they can relate, and and that kind of drives home the it's like a catalyst to want to listen. And I think it's cool when you share that stuff. But.
Right. Why would you listen? Well, these guys are talking about starting something and going through the process. So, I mean, if we can provide some of that perspective and some of our hardships and, being truthful about it and some of our successes, it's going to be, like I said, I think I said it in the first episode, you guys are going to benefit from it. Do you guys want to tell a little bit about yourselves?
I want to layer on that, and then I'll tell more about myself.
Yeah.
We have so many ideas written down through all these meetings we've been having on Zoom since June. And I really love that. To tie this in, is one of the big things that we have in common and we all really like is real estate. Kyle really is looking to purchase a property. We want to purchase properties together.
Yeah.
Rudy has already purchased properties, which we talked about in the first episode.
Yeah.
And that's something that we really admire about Rudy. Rudy actually had his real estate license in Virginia, and part of the reason why he asked me up here is because I had mine in Mass. Mm-hmm. And if you know me, you know that I have my New York and Massachusetts real estate license. So that's something that we're all passionate about. And we want to show people how we're building up this podcast block by block. Mm-hmm. hard not to say at this point. Mm-hmm. But we also want to, when we're going in to buy a property, we want to kind of show people how we do it.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people want to do that, and it's a bigger interest, and it's a little harder now because the market's a little saturated. Yeah. But I think in general, it's something that we can do in the future. And, there's a little thing like my little workout thing that I'm doing for Putakana. Yep. Rudy's starting he's starting to show the CrossFit journey. Yep. Kyle, will maybe let him do that, but he has something exciting that he's going to hopefully pursue soon.
Physically. Yeah,
yep. Right. Physically, it's going to be a great challenge. And for us to get into the real estate, whether we do it individually or we combine team efforts, we're going to try our best to document that to show people. So
right.
Real estate's a big part of my career.
Yeah.
I got my license when I think I was 23 or 24, and I was a real estate agent in New York for a few years, did pretty well outside of Albany. Mm-hmm. And then I got my real estate license in Massachusetts and kind of slowly moved closer to Western Mass. Mm-hmm. That was great. And that was really just my professional career. Before that, I worked for a moving company and stuff just right out of college. Now, fast forward to when I got an opportunity to move out with BK and those guys out in Waltham, where I still live. It was just such a good opportunity for, a solid rent to move out to the Metro Boston area. Yeah. I took advantage of that, and I still tried to be a real estate agent, but to start the business in New York, to do it a third time was exhausting, and the competition was a lot harder out there. So
it's stiff out there.
I had to deviate and then get into some other things. And I know I referenced this in the first episode, but I knew that sales was kind of what I was, decent at and what I was already into. So I worked at a restaurant for a while, shout out to those guys over at Lulu's in Alston. It's a great place to go. Then I worked selling windows, selling the roofs. And now I work for, essentially an energy contractor where we do electrification and energy efficiency upgrades. So, and then as far as what I like to do, I like to play basketball. I tried skiing recently, which was really cool. Yeah. I really am into sports, and I've been really getting into combat sports, and me and Kyle share a fondness of the UFC. So that's just some of the things that I like to do on my free time. And this in general has been an awakening for me, as some of you might already know, is a new hobby and something that I can do creatively, because it's always just been, drinking, partying, or basketball, sports, hanging out. And this is something that it's actually a creative journey, and I've been able to look at a creative side of myself that I never really explored before. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit about me, I guess, in a nutshell, from a professional and personal standpoint.
I love it. Yeah. Just going back into the creative things. I sing as well too. So I just wanted to throw that out.
Really
That's
important.
a little bit about me. I might share a
it's your
song or
passion
two.
that you have,
might
yeah.
have heard today.
That's your passion.
That is my passion.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's very important.
Yeah.
That's something else that we want to document. Is obviously Rudy is very busy. He's a family guy, all these things we touched on, but to keep doing it. I mean, we were worried about paying for like royalty music or whatever, right? Like royalty free music, and or like getting in trouble for using, because there's so many good songs we could have put
You
as
get
an
a
intro.
copyright suit. Yeah.
And Rudy comes up with this amazing theme song, and we love it. I really enjoy listening to it, and I think it catches in it. And it's just
kinda
amazing.
jazzy, and
It's great. So
cool.
it just that's another creative side of Rudy that we want to explore, and we want to navigate through all the things that we have going on. But yeah, that's something that's I'm really happy that you brought that up. And
Yeah. And I mean, what's cool is like, the fire you're exhibiting for this, right? Like that's sort of my fire for music, and like, and I said it in the first episode, that's like the sauce. Like that's the stuff that you sort of want to try to build your blocks on. Like if you could sort of transition back to that, because I know, the truth is a lot of us are probably going down paths that maybe society dictates, or maybe your family dictates, or maybe something else is driving you down a path that you might not really enjoy waking up to every day. So if we can do anything here, it'd be to try to follow those passions and be truthful with yourselves and honest with yourselves about what's going to really get you there. And it's not going to be easy.
I've always been, and I want to get into Kyle's right away, but
Yeah.
I've always been very envious of kids who are like young, like
Yeah.
teenagers or kids in college who really know what they want to do.
Oh, and they
Yeah.
figure it
They
out.
figure it out.
And they find that passion, and they don't have all these other like little things around them, like responsibilities.
Right.
I guess I'll put
yeah.
it.
Well, responsibilities will take away
Yeah,
from
and
it.
it will take away from that, right? But
It's so funny you just said that, because I've
Yeah.
always said that for years. That
Yeah.
there are some young individuals that just they figure it out young.
They got
and
it.
they might, even if they mess up in school or whatever, it's these people, and some of the most successful people in the world, like Jeff Bezos, and some of these guys, they just knew what they wanted to do, and they believed it with a passion. A lot of like rappers and artists that I look up to, like the whole Kanye documentary is hilarious, but he just had almost a delusional, maybe delusional belief in himself. But knowing exactly what you want and just attacking that full force is what we're really trying to highlight. And I always was trying to find that, and I don't know if I was maybe not being honest with myself. Right, and truthful and honest as I should have been, and maybe letting too many things distract me from finding that. But I think people find it at different times, and that's okay.
Yeah,
and you can't go back in time. Yep, which might be a little teaser for for later in the episode. But we just really want to keep moving that forward. So anyway, Kyle, just to catch us up a little bit on your stuff.
I had so many comments about some of the things you guys were saying, and
yes,
I really liked. So we all have roots in Berkshire County,
right?
And I'm good. I'm good with like being there. I have a daughter, so I can't really leave, I guess, currently. But and luckily I have a job, a profession that I think all of us do. I think all of us, if you really think about if you think about the things that we've accomplished, they're blessings, right? Like getting finishing school, getting a professional resume going, and like having work experience. Mm-hmm. Is pretty big, and not everybody gets there, and the simple things sometimes are overlooked. So it's good to be grateful, and I'm fortunate to have a job that I have, and the benefits and all that stuff. But I guess. Well, so to give you some of my background, $1
million laugh.
What are we doing again?
Kyle just staring off into the shadows.
Later.
Are we almost done? My family's kind of big too. I have a lot of family in Pennsylvania, and That's on my mom's side. My father's side is they traveled a lot. I think I have a lot of aunts and uncles on my dad's side. They owned restaurants in like Florida, and I've watched them kind of evolve, and when I was young, and do different things, and that was pretty cool. Some of them have moved back here. I value family too. Right now, really about me, it's just basically working the job that I have that I'm passionate about helping people, and it's a good job, and you're very visible in the community. But this, I don't really know what to say about myself.
Yeah.
But
I can tell you one thing. Like we were talking about our passions, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I can tell you all about Kyle. Okay, so Kyle grew up in Dalton. Okay, he's lived on Warren Ave every day for the last
every day.
I want to
like
say
a
something.
squirrel.
If you listen to the first episode, Rudy, I believe, said that they've been together since they were like 14 years old.
No correction there.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. So no correction. So yeah, Rudy will tell you all about it.
Yeah, to the point where your dad like hugs me when he sees me, and like it's good.
Yeah,
I love your
I think
family.
that
Absolutely.
it shows how humble Kyle is. Not really wanting to go down a rabbit hole about himself. But I think
it feels
he
kinda
spoke
weird,
a little bit about what he actually does, right?
Yeah.
So you work helping.
He's a social worker.
Yeah,
helping.
I'm
So
a
you're
child
really
protective social worker, which is a very difficult job just because of the things you have to see, and you have to deal with. It's a lot of critique from your clients, and even in your own home base, there's so many moving parts. And it's a lot of work. It's so dense, so it's a lot of expectation. It's a fun job though. I love. There's a lot of writing. There's a lot of legal writing and stuff. I'm a good writer. So one of my passions about me is I love to write. I've always loved poetry. I published some poetry in Berkshire County, out of the Herman Melville house on Holmes Road or whatever it is, the little Herman Melville Museum. He's the author of Moby Dick. Yep. Good job, Rudy.
I got you.
You intellectual son of a bitch.
I did.
I actually knew that one.
Too long.
I totally, but anyway, sorry.
So yeah, right. Writing is a big passion of mine. I enjoy to read. I love we've all loved sports.
Yeah.
You and I met at MCLA. I went to college. I finished up at MCLA and did well there. I think I was a dean's lister. So I took my academics a little more seriously than I did when I was going up there. But it was a challenging school. Like I think when you got to higher level classes, the professors were I loved it because the professors challenged you, and
There's some cool professors.
Yeah, they expected you to work, and the content and what you were learning was really cool in psychology, and But I'm passionate about creativity for sure, but challenging myself and people, and one of the ventures I guess we were talking about. You're on this big fitness kick.
Yeah.
I used to be a gym head. Rudy was a gym head for a long time. He just went back to CrossFit. I would implore all of you, anyone listening, to not just wake up and go to work. Do something else with your life. Like I'm going to paddleboard in the spring. I love sun and water, so I want to get out there.
Yeah.
I'll get my daughter out there in a little vest, and hopefully,
fun.
I'll hold her if I gotta, and paddle with the other hand if I got to. But I love nature. There's a lot of things I love, but boxing is one thing I got really passionate about for many years, and I was doing that in a gym in Pittsfield, and it's given me a great base. The coaches there were awesome, and the guy there, Sean Jennings, is a really amazing coach and a very great role model. He reminded me a lot of Coach Campbell, who was a great role model growing up. He was our football coach.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That was like, just when you meet people like that who really are passionate about driving out the best in you and have this way of speaking, it gets you on fire, and you just
sorry to interrupt, Kyle, but like
that's okay.
The best.
Please.
Mentoring, the best coaching I've ever experienced, and I think coaching and just mentorship and just having somebody to emulate is so underrated. And
yeah, he cared. You know what I mean? He was.
If I was to say somebody could tell me truthfully what I'm doing wrong and do it in a way that motivates me and doesn't discourage me, it would have been Coach Campbell. The guy literally.
Yeah, he just had a way.
With coaching, and
with kids and turning you into a young man.
Yeah,
he would really care about where you're going to go in life. But the boxing coach I learned from for a while was a no nonsense. Like wanted the best out of you, expected the best out of you, believed that you had good in you.
Right.
Now I'm going to go to a different gym now. And the coaches I talk to, you know, think they can get me into some amateur fights in the spring. So that's my goal, is to do some amateur fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's me
We'll
versus me.
go there and document that.
Yeah,
That'll be
I'll do
absolutely
some
awesome.
videos. Yeah, I mean,
That'll be sweet. Yeah.
you know, I think it's funny, you know, I don't like hitting and hurting people, but I love competition. And I think when it's hard when I'm in a gym, when I don't want to go all out, and you know, it's like I hold back a lot, and I don't think even that's hard to like see, you know.
Yeah.
But if I'm in a ring with someone, and if there's got to be a victor, like I'm not.
You gotta flip a switch.
Yeah. So like, and that's combat sports is just beautiful in a sense where it's not so much violent to me. I mean, it is, but what I'm seeing is two competing wills,
Strategy,
in the poetry of the human body, of just moving, and like there's no better feeling than like someone swinging on you and you're just, you know, like in the Matrix and it's all slowed down, or you know, if you're taking a couple hits, and I love that. And yeah, we do have we share a passion for MMA, and watching it is fun together. And
Yeah, really. And I love what you just said was amazing. What you just said was no, you said it's a poetry. Many people are really good boxers who've described it. It's almost like a dance.
Mm-hmm.
Even boxers and football players have like taken dance classes, which I might do, by the way. I might document that. Yeah. But
boxing is not easy. I don't want people to think, you know, by no means am I like Floyd Mayweather or anything, but
no, but it's the ultimate competition. And at the end of the day, if you're competitive, even though you don't want to hurt people, there, like you said, there has to be a victor. And I really want to emphasize that you can find that competitiveness. And when you can feel comfortable in a threatening environment, that makes you grow as a person.
It translates to life.
Exactly.
When I was hitting that gym with them, and I love it, and that's why I love the coach at that gym, you know, and I was consistent it would like go in spans. I was consistent for a long time, and I would drop off for a little while and then I'd go back. But you know, it was very,
that's okay.
Oh yeah, I mean it's there. It's there all year round, you know, and
as
like it's and every each time you go back, you're better than you just. With me, especially, everyone learns differently. I retain so much, and with just like level changes and like just the comfort and the movement and just things that would be explained to me and I'd be coached on that were hard to grasp at the time, I would go back and do them. I'd be a little better at it, because like you kind of reset and you're like, oh, I know what to expect now. I know what they were saying. Like, it's a very complex sport, but I love that, and I want to do that. And that's more of a me versus me thing, and it's kind of a bandwagon thing. You know, you see like Logan Paul and everyone doing it, and celebrity boxing and whatever. You know, cool. But I've always wanted to try boxing, and I've always you know, I've always kind of had some grit to me, and you know, they're like I just never like stepping up to like bullies and stuff, and like in high school, and like, you know, I've had some moments where like I've never been afraid to interject, and like it just, that fear kind of like never was there. Like it's just more of a natural reaction to like put yourself in danger. Mm-hmm. But when you're in a boxing ring, you think like it would translate, but it doesn't. It's harder. Yeah.
You need to be more calm. You need to.
You need to be way more calm. Yeah. Yes. It's very interesting. But yeah, just as I'm getting older, I want to do these things, and I want to keep, you know, with the job I'm very grateful to have, and doing this with you guys is a lot of fun. And this, I want people to be able to relate, and I want to be able to share, you know, you guys, because I'm friends with you guys because I think you're awesome, you know. So like I want you guys to be able to like have your shine, and like I want the people to get to know you guys. So
I mean, what's cool about this is that they're going to get to know all of us a little bit.
I think we're all very eclectic. Yeah. I almost want to hijack the segment, because I'm sorry to do this, but there was we have a question and answer that we're doing, and we had some people give us some questions on our social media. And there's one question that was asked now that I think fits everything. Like,
please.
It fits in here.
We might as well we can just dive right into it.
We could.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We can just switch it around.
I'm like Captain. Like, is this okay?
I'm supposed to be talking straight. Sorry, Dave.
That was the coolest nickname
approved,
by the way. Was the Captain.
It kind of faded into the mist.
It did, yeah.
You know, and your inconsistency is not helping, but it's fine.
It's true. Captains are consistent.
Yeah, exactly. Carry on.
They show up on time. So there was one question though that somebody had asked, and you might know who it was, and maybe you have that piece of paper, but it was, if I recall correctly, what is something about each of you that people maybe misinterpret, or what's one thing that's misrepresented?
Yeah.
And we wanted to share a little bit about ourselves, and the idea is, right, like
We wanted to be honest
the idea is for people
with these questions.
a year from now, we want this. We're not doing this because we want like fame and glory. I'm not anyway. Like
No.
my hope is though that this grows, and I'm gonna stop talking now.
All right, well,
Hey, all right.
What?
Sorry. So yes,
let me just tell who it was.
go ahead.
So these guys know him.
Yeah,
I actually
hit us
don't, but
with
he's
that.
been a great supporter of the page. So thank you so much. Cam Williams is the one that asked this question.
Oh, Cam
and it's
Cam
what,
Williams,
what
yeah.
do people
Which-
misunderstand about you the most?
The
is
Williams
question.
family, shout out.
So,
to
like,
his mom Nicole.
That's a great question. Another component of this is I was just diagnosed clinically with ADD, and
That's so ridiculous.
it is ridiculous because I'm 34
Like
years old,
everybody's
and I literally spent my entire life thinking that everything was just completely fine, and nothing was wrong with me. And honestly, I don't think anything is wrong with me still.
Yeah.
But, but at the same time, just having that diagnosis has made me sort of understand myself a little bit more, and what some of I might be incompetent on. Oh,
your ADD is kicking in. What do you feel like is misrepresented?
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha. I'm gonna circle. I'm gonna
He's got
circle
He's
back
got
to it.
folks.
He's there.
So
He's
because
right there. I can feel it.
because the condition I have makes me sort of bounce around a little bit and maybe not think holistically or plan ahead. Often I'm misunderstood as lazy, maybe, or that I don't care.
Like not being organized, or like
Yeah. Oh, well,
Stand-
I that's the truth though. I'm not organized.
yeah, most
So-
men, I don't think really.
So,
are.
but-
I'm of the belief that if you're a man and you're extremely organized, and like
Don't say it.
you might be a psychopath. But
It's just
you thought I was going to say something else, didn't you?
Well, I didn't want you to say that because I'm pretty organized now these days. So.
I get it, Don.
But I've become more organized over time.
It is
we'll
good.
walk through that at a different
Yeah.
point. But
It's
that's-
no. I mean, like I think there's like an extreme, right?
yeah. I mean, like my car's not spotless, but I make sure there's no
Yeah,
trash in it,
I
you know?
think Anyway, we're not to
Yeah.
No. So what I was saying is like, and just the example of how I'm misunderstood in my marriage at times. I don't want anybody to think that I don't care or I don't communicate, but that is often the perception.
So are you acknowledging like a not so much?
Well, I think he's saying that
it's-
people might often misunderstand him for
Yeah,
that
right,
reason,
right.
but it's not.
Sure,
it's not
sure,
They're
sure.
misunderstanding my intent.
Yeah, like the intention matters. Like
It does.
action
And
and intention.
when you peel
Yeah.
those layers back of the
Yeah.
Some people say
onion.
like people's actions are what counts. I don't believe that. I think the intention of the heart is what actually matters more, because we're so flawed as human beings that, and this fits into what you're saying. You can have a good intention in the heart, but our thoughts and what we feel in our heart can be objectively good and woven with good fabric, but these bodies, and like everything else that's where, for me in my faith, it's called sin. Like we're imperfect. Our thoughts get caught up. We hear the voices get loud. So when our intention gets disconnected from the action, it doesn't discredit the intention. It's more so the fallibility or the
Misinterpretation.
the
of the
fallen, like
Yeah.
the fallible nature of our being.
action. Mhm.
and that's
you
why
know?
it was such a good question. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
We-
So if we can move on from my answer, but essentially, just a misunderstanding of my intent would be something that I'm misunderstood on. I don't interact with many other people other than you two and my wife or
yeah.
family, but
It happens when you get
or at
older.
least recently. But that's something that I could probably improve on with my communication and action.
Well, even
That's-
the
and that's
accountability.
honesty.
I mean,
That's
there's
honesty, right?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
the accountability. Right
well,
there.
it's I need to say this though
Yeah.
because Rudy was very honest about being diagnosed with ADHD.
Yeah.
And anybody who watched and some of the feedback I got, everyone would think that he's the least person to have it. Me and Kyle are all
Yeah,
over the
yeah,
place,
well,
and he's the one reeling it
that's
back
true.
in.
I
So
just
it's
wanna-
very ironic.
Yeah,
I
right?
just want to say, good job, Rudy. I really give you a lot of credit for
for being open and honest in
yeah.
that communication.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean,
I love
like
that
I said,
about
I don't fucking think anything's wrong with me. All right, I'm still fucking awesome.
Don't
Yeah, I'm great.
don't go
I'm
thinking,
still
don't go
Rudy
thinking you're
Saga.
perfect.
Don't
Don't
go too far.
don't go overboard.
Well, so guys, let's get into the questions.
I love the confidence.
Let's get into the questions, right? So we'll try to answer them as concisely.
Well, now
as
you
we
got to
can.
now you can answer your piece, I guess.
But
So-
I do want to. I can answer that part
Yeah.
of the question. I guess. Do you guys want me to?
Yeah.
Well, I think we all should, right?
Yeah.
Each
So
of us.
I think what
it's a global question.
I think what people misunderstand about me the most probably is just I want to rewind back a little bit. When I was younger, I was even more anxious than I am now. I think I've kind of turned my anxiety into a superpower, maybe being more organized and stuff.
Mhm.
But I've had a tendency to talk really fast and be really like in your face, kind of, all over a little erratic, if you
Mhm.
will. And I think people always like misunderstood that as me being like, I don't know, maybe not that smart or like not socially aware, but it was hard for me to find the center ground between being myself and how people portray that.
Mhm.
Because when I tried to make tweaks and change that, I wasn't actually being myself. Right. So I think if somebody meets me at first, I think that I come off like erratic or a little abrasive. And if you don't know me, you think that maybe I'm a completely different person than what you see maybe in this podcast or what you guys know of me.
Yeah.
And I've really tried to work on that and the cadence and everything of, my voice, and I haven't had voice, lessons or anything, or a voice coach or whatever. But that's always something that's really nagged at me is people, being like, you speak too loud or you speak too fast. And I think if people see me from a bird's eye view and they don't really know me, I think they misunderstand.
They think you're a little special.
Yeah. No, but I think they just misunderstand like where that energy comes from and how it's being portrayed. I guess I don't know. I mean, I wish
I love that answer. I love that answer because
Yeah.
what you're saying that is that's misunderstood about you,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? Like you're conveying that that again, like we can't help how we're like wired sometimes or how we behave. Like
Yeah.
it's so ingrained sometimes, but like it doesn't capture like what's going on in here. You know what I mean? And, like,
Absolutely. And that happened in sales too. Not that I don't want to go too long on this question, but I would try to like go by the script or like, read books or listen to audiobooks and try to go a certain direction. And when I went away from being myself, even if it comes off a certain way at first, just completely just ineffective. And I don't want to be that way in my communication or with my friendships and the people in my life. And I just want to be appreciated for being yourself.
Yeah.
And you don't want to have to put on an act.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think that I was able to understand at a certain age and continue to like, I hate to say it, I don't hate to say it. It's a good thing. I turned that anxiousness and that thing that was maybe misunderstood more into kind of my superpower that maybe you don't understand it at first, but you can find out what's beneath me a little bit quicker
Yeah.
than maybe writing me off really fast as a younger guy.
And to that, you can only do so much, right? To, accommodate others, right? You don't ever want to be anything other than who you are.
I think that it's almost maybe a little toxic if you want to be in a relationship with someone and you're going to be like, hey, listen, like this is what I do, like this is me, this is there's these other things maybe that are going to distract me from you, or that's normal in a relationship. And what's healthy is to like give the person that space. Like you can't like it's actually beautiful when you like trust someone and like or you
Understand that.
you understand it and you enjoy that. You want that for them.
Yeah.
Like you want them to have that space. You
Good for
should,
them.
if you're going to be in a relationship with someone, like you want them to have that space. You
Yes.
should absolutely
Right.
want them to have their freedoms. But also on the flip side, like you can't expect to have a relationship and not make adjustments for that person. Also,
Yeah.
I think it's like, I think that if you're going to be, and I think that's right. There's like, it's like two sides to that coin where like you need to give the person to be like the freedom to fly like a bird, but also.
Yeah,
It was
but
really ridiculous.
this is the marriage thing that I was talking about. Like,
Well, yeah, no, that's
Anna
what-
Anna lets me do this, but yesterday I had to put my phone away.
Yeah,
right?
right. That's
You know?
great. That's great. So that's a perfect example of
Yeah.
like,
You didn't have to see me peppering the group
yeah, like
chat.
I'm gonna be busy
I
all
didn't
day,
see
but like
the 75 notifications.
you give her you give her some days during the week where it's like your phone doesn't come out for
Right.
all day, or like, you know, you're on with whatever she needs, and like, yeah, it's got to go both ways, you know. And but anyway,
Yeah, no, then yeah, and you know, marriage is a specific example, but that goes with anything.
yeah.
Right?
I like your answer too. I think that
Thank you.
you know, and I think we should afford. I think what needs to happen too is, again, this is the culture of like our country, and just our culture in general has this like
Stigma.
it's just, it's not the most like warm, right? Like we need to have an understanding that people are the way they are, and like not just have our expectations be our expectations, or like judge you for being too like, you know, like energetic. Or
I think Rudy put it.
you need to afford people grace.
Yeah,
is really what you need to do.
You can't expect people. You can't expect people to act what your expectation is of them.
So this goes into,
you
like,
know what I mean.
right,
Then it's like it's an unrealistic expectation.
this goes into my thing is, I think people have misread me as being very cocky, or, you know, I think they look at me and they think like, oh, like, okay,
The blonde hair, the blue eyes.
just, yeah, like, no, it sounds stupid, but like, and I'm really not. I mean, like, you're right.
It's the grungiest of the three.
Like,
she just rolled out of a tent.
Yeah, like there's so
alleyway.
much. There's so much
what?
people don't know about me, but like they like, if I show up somewhere, like am at a new job, or like, you know, and I've had this with bosses where they weren't the most patient, or they assumed that I had this
chip on your shoulder.
Yeah,
something
yeah, and I think that gets misrepresented about my confidence, because I'm very confident with people, and I don't do well with like, I don't care how much wealth you have. I truly don't. I don't care what job you've had, or what your title is, or like I think it's beautiful what people do. I think if you have a job that really is affecting people's lives, and like really making a change, and or whatever, if you're making tons of money at a hedge fund, or like, you know, if you're an investment banker, or you're making a ton of money on Wall Street, I think that's awesome too. You're a hard worker.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you're using that money to, like, you know, really help your family out, or you know, give back to your community, or whatever. These are things, if I'm ever super wealthy, that I want to make sure I never change. But like, I've been judged, especially, and even in the boxing gym, you know, being, maybe this guy's kind of cocky or arrogant because of how I interact with people, because I can't help it, because I don't view anybody as, I just don't.
It's not your intent.
It's not my intent to, right. It's not my intent to disrespect you, but like, I'm also I realize you're just as much, your mortality is no different than mine.
Yeah.
We are the same. Like, you come from the earth, you're going to go back to the earth, just like I'm going to. And like, it's not like people want to be catered to in our world, I think, and they want to be respected. And I get that they might deserve it. And I get that they've worked hard. And I think that that's also true. And we do need to afford that for people.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, I think I've been judged in that way where, yeah, it's been an odd experience for me. I think people don't understand that, like, I'm a very caring individual with a lot of humility. And I think if you guys know me, I think you would agree.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But I think in a lot of ways I'm misunderstood by a lot of people. And
well, hey, I mean, shout out to Cam Williams for a great question.
Making us become more understood.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Cam Williams. I mean, hit us with some more in the future. Cam, that was a great shout out to you. Rudy and I knew you when we were teenagers. You were a little guy, and now you're a grown man.
He's got a kid of his own.
So Paulie asked me where did I get the shirt that I was wearing in the video where I asked about the questions. That's actually Larry Bird in boxing gloves knocking out Magic Johnson. So it's a pretty cool shirt. And I'm actually not going to tell you, Paulie, where I got that shirt, because you need to come visit me in
80s
Boston.
ball.
And I will show you the shirt. I maybe will even gift it to you. No, I won't gift it to you because I got it from a special person. But you come out to Boston, you'll know where I got the shirt. I'm not answering that question for you on here. So Roxanne Malloy, shout out Roxanne. She said, so this one's directly to me.
Yeah.
She said, I want to know why we call you Donny when your name is Ryan. This is something that I think we just assume people know, but obviously not everyone listening to this knows us personally. My name's Ryan Donovan. In middle school, because my last name's Donovan, people started calling me Donny. Mm-hmm. So it's just a spin-off of my last name, and it stuck, and ever since then.
Yeah, it's a good nickname.
Most people call me Donny.
Yeah, that was
so
it was,
Donny
that was
Donovan,
that
that
was
was
your
the fun
name
thing.
in college. Everyone called you
Yep,
Donny.
everyone called me that in college. So it carried right over from high school to college, and I even used it as my real estate name, and it was on the signs and stuff like that for a while. Which
That was a good question,
that's
Roxanne.
pretty cool.
Roxanne, that was a good
Yeah.
personable way to target Ryan there. That's nice.
yeah,
that you
'cause,
did that.
they're really good questions.
Yeah,
By
thank you.
thank you
That's
so
cool.
much,
I think
Roxanne.
that's cool.
And then let's see here. We have Jeff Moulton. Jeff's been a huge supporter of us. Shout out Jeff Moulton Fitness.
Shout out Jeff.
I think it's JBM Fitness, but we do have his handle on here. His Instagram handle is at Jeff_Moulton, MOULTON_. So that's his handle. Check him out on Instagram. He has a fitness page. He's a personal trainer. He just launched his podcast again. So we're definitely going to team up in the future. We're looking forward.
Yeah,
to
we'll
that.
probably have him as a guest. I remember Rudy and I know Jeff Moulton. He's a legitimate in the fitness industry. So he's got like a decade's worth of experience or more.
And
He knows
he
I
knows his
assume
stuff.
it's his passion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
He's
for
got
sure.
a podcast as well, so
Yeah,
he can
go on
always-
his page and check him out.
And yeah, he's similar content to a certain degree, but really specific to fitness. He really knows what he's talking about. And his question is, what is the most challenging thing that you've done or been through that taught you the most about yourself? So this is something we can maybe all touch on just a little bit.
globally.
I thought we were gonna like hear these questions beforehand, and I was not prepared for this.
Yeah.
But if I have to come up with something off the cuff, it's probably like doubles in football.
Yeah,
Probably
We'll take
like
it back to that.
just putting yourself through discomfort so that when I was going through it, I didn't realize. Yeah, I hated it. I just fucking hated it. I mean, we had to get up early in the morning, do
Yeah,
a
it
practice,
sucked.
and then take a break, and then get back to it in the afternoon.
Are you
Double-
thinking
double
of
symbol.
freshman year too, especially?
I'm just thinking of every
All of
single
it,
double
yeah.
session. But little did I know that discomfort and getting used to that discomfort over the course of my life has enabled me to exceed
Man,
heights.
they dogged us in those practices.
Yeah. So
yeah, no, that's a good one. I mean, I think that obviously there's a lot of ways you could answer this question, right? Because there's different points in your life, and that's honestly a great way to go back. Because even though it's doubles, it's football. When it's that early, like earlier on in your life, those things, and the first time you really physically challenge yourself like that, it is significant, and it makes huge changes to your maturity. So I think that's a great.
Yeah,
Great.
good.
it's
Yeah.
a character changer, and
Yeah.
you learn so much about yourself and what you can mentally get through.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
know,
definitely.
What did it? I guess what did it? You kind of said it, but what did it teach you about yourself? Was the last part of the question.
is that like what I perceive as my breaking point is not really my breaking point. I can push through it. When there are mental barriers and I'm feeling sorry for myself, and I don't want to do another bear up the hill, or I don't want to run as fast up the hill, or I don't want to bear 100 meters. I can do it. I can still do it. And you know what? Next time I got to do it, it's going to be a little bit easier. And so if there's anything that it taught me, it's that my mental, I can exceed where I think I
Well,
can.
you thought the
and-
boundaries.
Yeah, where I think I can go.
Yeah.
Always.
Oh,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you want to all answer this, or do you have anything on that you're thinking of? Or?
I'm not allowed to talk anymore.
Shut up.
Yeah,
I knew
just
there was
kidding.
gonna be a turn in this. I really was digging through some stuff, and I think I highlighted on though two of the real big things last episode of the passing of my father, and the eye stuff was really tough recently. But I'll say that to not go on those, when it was my senior year, and I loved basketball. Basketball is a big passion of mine, and my lung collapsed, kind of arbitrarily, being a taller, skinnier guy. It's called a spontaneous pneumothorax, is the medical term for
Wow.
you
Wow.
doctors and
Yeah,
nurses out
figure
there.
it out.
I remember that. I used to have an x-ray of my lung. It's pretty gnarly. It's somewhere. But I was looking forward. I played every day during the summer, wanted that senior year to be the best that it could be. We had a really good team. I was looking to contribute a lot to that team.
Yeah, you're a good basketball player.
And thank you. And obviously that could have shaped me even playing in college, which I didn't, but I missed the first 4 or 5 games. Luckily I was still on the team and everything, but that really, having something taken away from you that soon that you really worked hard for, just taught me that I guess I was more resilient than I thought, and that it gave me a very clear picture of how I wanted to go into college. Because I knew exactly and we had a good time in college, but I knew exactly where I was. I was like, you know what? These are the things I'm going to take seriously. These are the things I'm not going to take seriously.
Yeah.
And one of the things, I could have tried out 2 or 3 years or the first couple of years to get on the MCLA basketball team. And there's a pretty decent chance I would have got on if I really tried, for a couple of years. But I knew that I wanted to, one, focus on school, and then the other time just focus on enjoying college, networking, and having a good time. And basketball, although it was fun, I already hung out with all those guys anyway. Yeah. So I had the maturity to be like, okay, I'm not going to the NBA. I know where my talent rises. I still can play in the rec leagues. And I think that just taught me to look at things. And I really did enjoy that time in college and the time after. And I think it just it shifted the paradigm, and it gave me a different perspective on how to approach situations and really think about what putting the work into, and where do you really want to be at that point in your life. Yeah. And it really, I think it helped me have a lot of fun and let my walls down and not.
Yeah. You had to like dive into a different part of yourself and get to know more about yourself. Because you love something.
And that's another great takeaway of discomfort, right?
And
it's very sad because you envision, I can relate to that. You envision something for yourself. And
I think it was a curse.
It doesn't come to fruition.
Yeah, I think it was a curse and a blessing in a way, but I don't want to go too long on it, but I think you encapsulated it pretty well. Yeah.
I mean,
so how about you?
I have one that's very personal that I'm not going to talk about, but it's definitely the hardest. And it involves not being with my daughter all the time. And that's my choice. That's a choice I had to make. And it's the healthiest choice. And it's one I'm happy with.
Not for you, right? It's for her, right? The choice.
Yeah, well, for me and her, absolutely. Because you can't be a good parent if you're not taking care of yourself. Yeah. And, children deserve parents that are like doing the most for themselves too. Yeah. You can't make your kids your world. They're not. It's not fair to them. Like you can't have your world revolve around your child. Yeah. It's going to in many ways, and that doesn't mean I wouldn't give my life for my child. Of course I would. Yeah. Or make any sacrifices for her, but you have to be a great parent. What helps you be a great parent and what's great for a child is if you are expanding yourself in many realms. Not selfishly. You still need. I'm huge on spending time with your kid, uninterrupted. Playing
focus time.
Yeah, just like every day. Being with your child every day is amazing. So
it's a blessing,
and I was that kind of parent. I was a very present father.
When you are,
and I am still, I am very much.
I guess what did that, without getting into, of course, we're not. There's no reason,
but just,
but thank you for being
the hardest,
vulnerable and honest.
Yeah. I say it's my style, but like I'm,
What did that teach you about yourself? You think?
That I think it taught me about life in the world is that things aren't as hard and as sad and as difficult as some things are. You have to press on, and then you need to kind of force yourself to see things from a different perspective. So if I don't see my daughter, I have her a lot, but if I don't, I have her overnights a lot and stuff. I don't see her every day or as often as I know I could, because I'm not with her mom, which is okay, and I'm at peace with that, and I'm happier for it. I wish her mom the best, and I want her mom to be happy and healthy too, because it's important for her. But she needs, kids need healthy, happy parents, and parents that are cultivating the most out of themselves, because your child's gonna watch that.
Right, you're the example.
Yeah, they're gonna see wow, my dad. I said it
earlier. It's so important to have that mentoring or that example to show you how to be healthy, how to be happy. Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Right. I mean, for me, it was just accepting what it is in the situation. So
I have to just
don't get annoyed that I'm talking a lot. I see that.
I want to give you a standing ovation right now.
I am not annoyed by that answer at all. God, that was fantastic.
I'm just fucking with you. That was so unbelievable, and it really, for you to be vulnerable to share that, right? And this is the Blockhead series, right? Yeah. For you to be vulnerable to share that information, even though you had a little hesitancy in the beginning.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And then for you to trust us and the audience, and to be honest inside of that. We're just the pillars of what we're trying to build, and I mean, just the perfect way to share that and build on what because you have to trust yourself.
Yeah, thank you.
And you have to and to make a decision like that, you have to trust your daughter. And her
like
her light and her intelligence.
You gotta have faith that things are gonna be good.
Absolutely.
And just to sum it up, like I love being a present dad and a present parent all the time, and my daughter and I will play for hours, you know, and I try not to look at my phone for hours and this and that, and I believe in that, and I think kids need that, and books and just getting outside. We go outside a lot, and I'm very passionate about that. So, and she gets a lot of that from me, so that's good. And I think if you're a parent, you know, take a step back, examine your situation with your kids, and they'll drive you crazy, but try to make sure you're being mindful in the moment with them.
Yeah, that's something I got to do a little bit better at. I'll say, you know, I'm on my phone a lot, but
Actually,
taking steps, you know, after accepting that, you know, take some steps to correct it too.
that was a
Yeah,
good,
yeah,
that
a
was
lot
a good
of-
question.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that as well. That was, you know, that layers on the theme. So, HJ Henry, he reached out on Facebook. It's BK's cousin, fun guy. We'll grab a beer soon. HJ, miss you, bud. You asked us what inspired Blockhead Nation. I'm going to implore you to go back and watch episode 1. Again, it's available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube.
It's all there for you.
So it's all there for you. We try to put the links in the description. So I'm going to kind of put you in a spot where you have to go watch that. So I hope you do.
Listen to it, HJ. If
Doesn't mean we don't
if
love
it's
you.
not clear to you though, come back and say what the f, you know.
It needs to be more clear.
Yeah,
and we'll
You
we're gonna
can
continue to
DM
elaborate.
us. You can DM us, and if you want to call us names and call us out and be like, "Hey, I'm not happy with that." Do that, because we'd love to read that and say we're sorry. We will apologize to you.
We'd be better to respond with
HJ strikes back.
The return of HJ.
Yeah.
We'll do a segment.
So okay. So there's only a few more left, guys. I want to save one of our favorites for last. So James. So this is one of our followers on Facebook. We follow him as well. He's a coin collector. Shout out to his Instagram, and he also asked a wonderful question. So it's LJL_coins. So COINS LJL_coins. Follow him on Instagram. He has some amazing coins. If you're into that, then please give him a follow. He's been a great follower, and we love the communication back and forth. So his question was, if you could travel through time, what time period would you go back to, and why?
This one's very easy for me. I would go to when Jesus was walking the earth. I'd want to be right there in Israel and around that area. And
I have to,
when he was like 33, right before he went to the cross.
I would. It's funny. I've been putting a lot of thought into this lately. We wanted to add more talk about prayer and stuff in this episode, but we'll have to keep it going. We're gonna obviously continue to elaborate and stack on.
Yeah,
and
there's more
build
episodes
on,
to come.
Yeah, build on that theme. But I couldn't agree with Kyle more. The minute he said it, my ears perked up. I have to agree with Kyle. The more that I dig into my faith and prayer, I would just love to have that to be.
I would just like
during
to
that time period.
I want to take a
embody.
second to give you kudos.
Yeah.
Because we can get into a little bit. I mean, you had devotion that you prayed the other night because you were talking about like being anxious.
Yeah.
And I had said to you, well, there's studies that scientifically show you can't be anxious and grateful at the same time. I love that. Yeah, we might
Yeah, that's a great
little
quote.
bit.
Yeah, I'm so happy it came up. Yeah, I'm so
And
happy.
I feel bad I
Grateful
interrupted. I feel
and
bad I
anxious.
interrupted.
No,
you.
that's-
I interrupted Ryan. We're gonna like fist fight after this.
Yeah, well, he boxes, so we're already know how to. But everyone knows that I'm always down, regardless of the outcome.
You're a scrapper. I'll always give you an edge.
But thank you so much. I mean, prayer for me, and that's where it came up. I did pray the other night when Kyle said that to me. We were actually messaging about the podcast late at night, and it really helped me become less anxious. And I thought about the biblical stories, and the more you look on it, it kind of comes up on your feed and stuff. And just really diving back into that, I think looking into your faith and your roots and all those things are synonymous with trying to build yourself up. And that's why doing this and being part of this journey with the podcast and the things we're trying to do, that's a huge component of it, because I don't think it completes the circle or the block if you leave some of those intricate things that mean a lot to you and help keep that foundation.
Keep that foundation. So good for you guys. I would not go back that far.
Rudy's
They
like,
don't go back that
Rudy,
far.
They don't have
Rudy's like-
toilets. They don't have showers.
He's like,
He's a pretty boy.
I'd like to go to the Napoleonic Wars and just absolutely.
I can't gel my hair.
No, don't even finish that sentence.
So no, honestly, I just think it'd be really, really cool, maybe for a day to go back that far. But Mine's a little bit
Rudy's
more
like
surf-
Club 55, 1979 in New York City. Or what was it? What was that nightclub?
Honestly,
What
I
was
like
that
the
nightclub in New York
50s.
City?
I like the 50s or 60s. I'd like to go just see what's like. But if I had to pick one time today, where to go, it'd be
what is it? Drum roll.
2011 when Bitcoin was being launched. I'd put a ton of money into Bitcoin.
So that shows you the mind.
I
Yeah.
love that
When
answer.
we get,
Yeah.
and that's so good because when we get
That's
into
the dynamic, guys.
the dynamic,
Oh, man.
well, Rudy obviously created the NFT. The NFT's launch is coming soon.
Yeah.
We have some of the links in our bio, and
Yeah,
we're really looking forward to
here's
that.
why that's a good answer, because Bitcoin was like
a dollar.
Yeah, people became
Yeah.
overnight fucking millionaires.
Yeah.
And some people are
buying
just,
that shit.
It's amazing.
It's ridiculous because it's like it's not even tangible. Like you can't even hold the
Yeah.
fucking thing.
It's
but,
perceived value. Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah, but I like that answer a lot.
But it's based on global liquidity, and
Okay.
as soon as that money printer goes burr,
Burger. Yeah.
that Bitcoin is going to go up. So
We know so that
Keep that in
showing
mind.
more about ourselves.
Yep.
You get to see what Rudy
Oh, man.
focuses his attention.
I'm not
So
a superficial.
we
asshole,
wanted
guys.
to save the best for last.
All right.
Shout out to John Rivers.
Johnny Ribs.
Yeah,
We,
shout out to Johnny Rivers.
So if you could do one thing over in life, what would it be?
Yeah, I said this before. I have a lot of regrets and I made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I can't say that I would redo them all because maybe they propelled me into where I should be and where I am, which is right here, right? This is where I should be right now. If I had to do one thing over, I'd probably not quit playing college football. I was my sophomore year, and we'd gotten through the first game of the season, and I wasn't getting the playing time I wanted. And that was an uncomfortable situation for me. And some of my friends, same grade, getting a bunch of playing time, and everybody is, and they're deservingly so. And I was at odds with the coach, and I walked right up to him. Him and a bunch of coaches in a coach's room. It was at lunch.
badass.
It was at lunch.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey guys, this is going to be my last practice. It's been an honor playing for some of you, others not so much." What a little asshole I was, dude.
Those guys are
Oh,
dedicating
man.
their time for
Yeah,
pennies
right.
on the
Those
dollar
guys,
to
right.
support
Yeah.
you,
Just getting crap pay, and here I am, an entitled asshole,
Yeah.
dude, coming up to
Well,
him.
that's honesty.
But-
No, but I like that. I like
I
that.
kind of like it though. I love that.
But
I just love that backbone,
the backbone of
though.
it. That's like a 50-50.
I've lost that slightly over the years. I don't want to slight people like that,
yeah, right. There's like more. You could be classier.
Yeah.
in better form, and like that's a lesson for me too at times.
But
like, in the
after I
past.
did that, I cried for
I know.
hours.
I remember you actually called me,
And
It's a huge
yeah,
emotional thing.
I remember this.
So I actually quit football when I was in like 7th grade,
Mhm.
and it was going pretty well.
Mhm.
And I got a staph infection on my knee. So you talk about the doubles and stuff. I missed like 3 weeks. So I got really out of shape, and we were doing the bankings and everything and all the sprints and the running. And it was just, after that practice, I was so exhausted. It was behind. I knew that my position on the team slid down a little bit because I was playing tight end and stuff. And, I did really well in the Jamboree. Remember the Jamboree?
Oh, love the
Scored a
Jamboree.
couple touchdowns and stuff. And
Yep.
I thought that I could have maybe, I always talk about, football could have been, even more of a passion and something that I excelled at even more than basketball. But I kind of cut that off at the knees, and I really regret that as well. Because if I pushed through that and I wasn't so mentally weak at that point, I think it could have, at least if anything, just been a really cool ride for me through high school and stuff, and
Yeah.
it led to a lot of more fond memories.
Yeah, I mean, or just to build on mine just a little bit more, and
Yeah.
the reason why I would have done that, not quit, is because I don't want to be a quitter, first of all, but I did, and secondly, there's that discomfort that I talked about earlier, and
Where you need that like
if
mental
I could
toughness.
just get through that,
Yeah, mental toughness, like Ryan just said.
my friends in college that stuck with it and and continued to play and continued to commit, flipped that program on its head and went, I think, close to undefeated the last year, and they won the NESCAC tournament. So we were like we only won a few games my freshman year, and my class, my friends, our group flipped that, and they won the NESCAC championship. So that was a tribute to them and their commitment, and something that I wish I could have just toughed through.
And that reminded me of something, as well as that I've had, moments, and I look back on high school basketball a lot as well and feel like, oh man, I wish I played more. I put a lot of work
in. The glory days.
Yeah, the glory days, right? And it's hard not to reflect on that even now, right? Even though I'm, so much past it. But I think a lot of that, I had a really bad attitude for a long time with sports, and anybody who knows me knows that. I'm sure they'll, feel free to comment a funny story about it. But and maybe with you, I don't want to project on you, but so much of, I'm like, why am I not playing enough?
Yeah.
Well, how about how much of it's on me and my attitude, right? Because it's not all about physical ability, right? It's the attitude that I bring to the game
team,
affects the refs. It affects the other team. It affects my own team. And I think that that's something that was a huge blind spot for me. I looked at it black and white, where I really had to zoom out when it came to that competitively for a long time into my 20s, and the attitude that I brought to competitive stuff.
It's a learning curve. I mean, what I really took away, well, and you're saying it too, but what I took away from Rudy was he knows. It probably bothers you so much because you could have toughed it out, and like the next year, your junior year, you might have been a starter or
just part of an awesome program and an awesome team, right?
Yeah.
It's just,
but
there's still something to be said that contributes to that.
There's always a positive, because you can take those regrets, and like going forward in life, not to make that same mistake, or like, if you see this through with Blockhead Nation, you see this through, you see other things through.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Absolutely.
Do you have anything, Kyle, that's
for you? Have you got all day? Like,
I know,
no, I'm actually perfect.
Okay, next question.
Zero things.
Zero.
The answer is absolute zero.
Yeah.
I got nothing really.
Yeah, we don't have to.
I mean, it's we can
bounce.
I don't gotta force it. Like,
we can just keep it rolling.
Whatever. It's a great question. I mean, there's a lot of things, right? I mean, most people have they have a laundry list. I'm sure we could come up with.
You could just think of little things, but I think it's just good to reflect on. So
I mean, you know what I would have done? What's one thing for me? I would have focused more on my academics in high school. I would have just actually applied myself, because I was a student that had to work.
Yeah.
But if I did work, I really do well. I really.
Same here. I really relate to that a lot.
Yeah. So that's probably what I would do. That was the last question, I think, right?
Yeah, it was the last.
We just had some background noise.
Shout
out Johnny Ribs
and James Ribs
and James. Jimbo.
So all right, so we're gonna move right on to the sponsors and kind of wrap things up, right?
Sponsors and compliments.
Same sponsors. We haven't added anybody. We have Gilly Puck. It's at Gilly Puck on all platforms. Hunting just got tactical. That's the best hunting apparatus in the game. And then the Tack Room in Lincoln, Massachusetts. That's a restaurant, by the way. I don't know if I said it last episode. That'd be another correction. The Tack Room restaurant, our buddy Mike, shout out to him. Shout out to Chef Dan. He's really turned things around there. Really doing a great job there. It's wonderful food.
Great
wonderful
cuisine.
Yep. Wonderful food and a great environment. And we're really grateful for those. And their links will be in the description, so you can check those guys out. And we really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I love that. I love Ryan. Ryan's been really great with the sponsors and getting that all, giving them shine.
And a lot of conversations. There's going to be a lot of new sponsors, and we're looking to, go in and sponsor other things. But I think that was a big thing for us to get involved. And shout out to those, to those guys for supporting us.
That's a big intention. We're going to have, and that leads me to say this too, is we're going to have a lot of guests eventually.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you guys, and thank you followers.
Yes.
Why would anybody sponsor us unless you guys follow us, right? Unless you guys listen to the podcast,
yeah, and more
right?
people are interested.
Thank you guys for enabling us to do this and the support you've given so far.
Well, as we close out every episode, right?
Yep, every episode.
We want to close out with a compliment, because we know how.
I'm going to get yelled at again for being late.
we want to close out with no. This isn't an insult. If we would be here all day if we had that section. But we want to end with a compliment, because that's just a great way for us to leave on a good note, feel better. And I think it's something that, as we mentioned last episode, it goes unnoticed.
Yeah.
And
the world needs
really
more
does.
of it.
It does, absolutely. So I don't know who would like to start. We really didn't
Well-
prepare anything or write anything down. This is just right from the heart.
I'll start. I'll
No,
go.
please, sure.
Rudy, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna thank you, man, for just being a good friend. For a very long time, you've been a great. You've never changed up. You've actually stayed consistent with who you are, and that speaks to a genuine nature that you have, and you've actually really, you've always been there, and I just love. Yeah, man. I think
It's so
Yeah,
hard
man.
for him to take a compliment.
Yeah, man.
I love every.
last
I love it
time
all.
Rudy side eyed me.
He said
I
it
was
last
like-
episode though. He's like just struggling through it. Trying to,
Crawl out of his skin.
nice about me.
So handsome
unbelievable,
and
dude.
just like
no,
he's
so
so
he's
beautiful.
Don't look at my face, guys. I
no.
really thank you, Kyle.
I thought
no,
Kyle was
thank
actually
you,
mad
Kyle.
though because
Thank you,
Kyle was
Kyle, so
like,
much.
I was looking at Rudy's face during the compliment section, and he looked like he was mad the
You,
whole time.
you side-eyed the camera hard.
I don't
It
even.
was so
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
I thought he was serious, but
You looked genuinely mad. I was like,
Yeah.
oh wow. It's just funny. But then no, but all right, enough joking. So yeah, listen, it's a good friend. A good friend is hard to come by, and I think I kind of addressed that last time. But I just want to say thank you because you have a lot of great character traits, and I think one of those is patience too. So like waiting for me when it's 10 o'clock and I'm still not here in the morning.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. And you've been a great friend to me as well.
Hey, You're
goes
your
both
turn to
ways.
compliment, yeah.
Yeah.
stay on track.
I'm just kidding. This is why he side eyes me. Gives me the side eye. Ryan.
I can take a compliment. I love him.
So yeah, no, they're nice. I'm gonna kind of steal Rudy's from last week. This isn't happening without your fire and your drive. So there's gonna be the compliment. I think the compliment round robin is awesome, and they can be this one's gonna be kind of quick, but this whole thing, Rudy and I I think Rudy has said we're like he's following you, like we're following your lead. This is something that Ryan really works so hard at behind the scenes. We all work really hard jobs, and we have a lot of commitment, and Ryan, you really, man, you're making this happen. So, and today the setup here in the studio was really nice, and you are really making this happen fast, and it's quality. We have so much quality now, so good job.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
That means a lot. Yeah, just
I mean that.
the improvements we've made so far. I'm really proud and happy of it.
I'm proud as well.
I appreciate
awesome.
your sense of
Yeah.
humor too. I love your sense of humor, and Rudy's too. I love laughing with you guys. So
Yeah, we have some good laughs.
Good
on
company,
here. We kept it
guys.
pretty
Good
serious. but
company.
at least we lighten up at the end. And people, if they hopefully they stick around for the whole episode.
yeah,
All right,
no,
these guys are actually
long-winded.
not
I
that-
talk
that
too much.
serious.
I talk a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, my compliments is I'm just gonna go right to the aesthetic of things.
Okay.
Rudy looks terrific. And this goes to working hard. Rudy's been doing CrossFit. We mentioned it a few times, and he looks 10 years younger. The guy looks incredible. And not
that's
that he
true.
wasn't always a stellar looking cat. The work is showing. It's very obvious. You look great. I feel like your energy's even better, and it probably just all around is really. And I think it's helped with all the things you have going on, having the family at home and having a really demanding job, and still being able to contribute as much as you have to this podcast. I think that hard work is an indicator of that, because when you take care of your body, it gives you more energy and it gives you more spunk. So
Thank
I really
you, bro.
wanted to highlight that. We've made a few comments about it off the air, but that's really impressive, and it goes to what happens when you put in the work.
Yeah, the block by block nature.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Rudy,
really.
Rudy's always been a beast, so I love it. I love that he's like getting back
Yeah.
to his roots. So.
Absolutely. And Kyle, okay. Besides the fact that he was 3 hours late today, and we set up, besides all those things, he's also
Just fix my posture here.
also a good looking cat as
nice.
well.
Thank you.
I have to think of I have so many bad things that I want to say about him right now that I have to actually think of something nice to conjure up about him.
I appreciate it. Take your time if you need to.
No, I mean,
We have some good
I
stories
think,
that we
yeah.
can share.
we do have good stories, and your ability to listen
Oh,
is
that's cool. I like that.
really second to none. And I mentioned this earlier with being honest and stuff, that sometimes I'm a little erratic or I can be long-winded, and we all can, right, to a certain degree. But every time we speak on the phone, and we'll talk on the phone for like an hour and a half.
That's true. Yeah.
If one of us are going through something, like you really are an open ear, especially when it's something serious, maybe in the podcast, but you don't cut people off. But you listen, and the answers that you give are thoughtful, considerate, and I think it takes a lot to be a listener, and it's like it speaks to those other qualities that you have, but being able to listen gives you that interpretation of the world that maybe is a little bit deeper than people who have trouble listening to not only me, but everybody, whether it's the person that you come across for a few minutes or somebody that's really close with you like myself. I really want to highlight your ability to listen and give that thoughtful feedback.
That's one of the actually greatest compliments I've probably ever gotten. So, and this is why it's important, because like you don't
hear it.
People don't.
We don't just say this arbitrarily.
Yeah.
We're just giving each other crap.
These are true things. We don't just
Yeah. So my compliments are. I'll start with Don. So like we said, Donnie's the driving force here. He's keeping us on task, but also there's definitely some directive, but his ability to collaborate on other ideas is
that's a
really important to get, to make sure that we're feeling included, one, and to sort of move us forward, because if one of us is unhappy with what we're putting out, or if there's a critique that needs to be made, we're able to voice that opinion and collectively come up with a decision on it, even though like we might want to go down this path, or Don says we got to get the freaking YouTube up, Rudy, like fucking get going. And it's taken me literally 3 weeks to make an email address, so he ends up and does it. But at the same time, he gives us the opportunity to collaborate and take ownership if we want it, and if we have differences of opinions on things, we can voice them. And he's like, okay, yeah, well, no, let's do something else. There was an example in a text too, right, where like Kyle said something.
The questions.
Yeah, he's like, I got to go to the post office this morning. And Donnie's like, why don't you just go to Westfield? And Kyle's like, well, that's a great idea. Well, only what was it? What did you say? Only no problems, only solutions.
Problems only. And shout out to Joe Girard. He's the one that.
Yeah, no problems, only solutions. Love it.
Yeah.
So that's huge, dude.
Yeah, that means a lot.
It's great teamwork.
Absolutely, and that means a lot, because I think I was very privy, if it's the right word, to get defensive, and now it's just like it is what it is. We're all on the same team.
Yeah,
I want people listening to this to give us feedback. I want you guys to give me feedback, because obviously, especially if I am taking the reins on some stuff, I'm gonna have to receive the most feedback.
Yeah.
Because it's not always going to be right.
Yeah.
And we need to collaborate, because that's what this is all about. And we're not going to get nowhere without collaboration. And we wouldn't even be halfway anywhere without Dave. Shout out to Dave. And I mean, that goes back to the truth concept and honesty, just honest between each other. Like if you, there's not a chance that we would want to put something out there if we didn't feel comfortable with it. Right. Mm-hmm. So just having that dialogue and be able to receive that is huge. Awesome.
So Kyle, even though Kyle was very late this morning and we were all working very hard in his absence.
Yep.
I'm gonna shock you guys one day and just
he's gonna be here early.
So we actually had a separate group chat making odds that he would be late. I was like minus I was like plus 500.
Yeah,
he'll be here by 9.
Yeah.
And then I was like, minus 500 actually. Yeah, anyway, try to conjure up a compliment if possible.
If you can do it today. Yeah.
No, I Kyle, and all the shit that we're giving you, like you're able to, you take it in stride, man. Like you could get defensive about it. You could, but you like knew
I know
it's coming.
Yeah.
You know it's coming.
I want to own my mistakes.
You don't want to be giving shit to somebody that can't take shit, right? You take it in stride. And you always got a smile on, man. That's huge. And I think it goes back to the listening thing too. Like you listen to maybe what you want to listen to, and the things that Dude, yeah, right.
This is
All
a
right, so now I'm
compliment.
giving you shit a
This
little
is
bit.
like,
I don't like to give people shit, but
Yeah, no.
you only listen to what you
that's
want.
so good. It's like I feel like we're like in a marriage. Like
Yeah.
you don't hear me
Been-
when
don't
been
hear
together
me
for 15
unless you
years
want to
now.
hear me.
yeah.
So
but, yeah.
no, but that's huge, Kyle, and just
I've kind of missed where the
it's
compliment
cool.
was, but then
well, you
I'm
take it in
fucking
stride,
around.
man. We're gonna.
No, yeah, no.
you-
You need to-
this is
it's
the smile.
self-inflicted, but at the same
Um,
time, you know what's coming.
Yeah, I beat myself up a lot actually. Like I'm
Yeah.
at work, like I'm like, oh, I think I did something wrong. Like I want to take ownership of like things I do wrong and everything, like relationships. And
Yeah.
Like, now don't get in a wrong relationship where the other person's not going to take accountability. Those are bad.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are the bad ones. But
And you live
It
in your
helps being truthful up front about what you
Definitely.
do and truthful throughout, right? And then making those adjustments as you mentioned, to accommodate the one you love, the one you've committed to, and I'm finding that in my marriage and
All things we all believe in.
all relationships really. So
Yeah.
be truthful to one another.
Yep.
Be honest with how you're feeling, so that you can move forward and progress. You got to be truthful with yourself too.
yeah, I think trust and honesty. Kind of coming back to it. You heard a lot of honesty today. Was it trust and honesty?
Yeah.
Trust
Was
and
it-
honesty. Yeah.
Yep.
With
That
the
was the
que-
second tier of the block.
Yeah, the questions really, I think, brought out a lot of honesty, and I think the compliments bring out honesty. But this is trust. I mean, we're trusting each other, and we gotta trust ourselves, and
And we got to trust the people that continue to listen to us and
Yeah.
support us. It's awesome.
I just want to thank Dave Lewis again for
Yes.
the
Shout out Dave.
amazing
Get you a
production
Dave.
tech guy.
Get you a Dave. If you don't have a Dave in your life, then your life
Get you a
is not
Dave.
as
Yeah,
good as
you
it
need a
could be.
Dave. We're probably gonna throw that on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Get yourself
you
a
a
Dave.
Dave.
Get yourself a Dave.
Get
That's
you a
it.
Dave, and we need like an outline of like a bearded, like just burly man, like a manly man with the beard, and
Yeah,
we
but
throw that on. Yeah.
I'll say that, guys. Yeah, absolute awesome today. Speaking with you both about trust and honesty. I think a cool thing for people to do if they want to, if they listen to everything and they want to get involved, give us ideas or throw out what you might think the title of the next episode might be. We only have 5 tiers of the Blockhead series, so we're open to ideas. I said this before. I'm going to say it again. The Blockhead Nation is a community, like it says on our Instagram page. So we want your ideas. We want your feedback because that's how we're all going to continue and grow to get better. Block by block.
Block by block.
Also, check out the merch, guys. It's above us, and there's a little special
We'll
character in between.
We'll be dropping the merch soon. We got
Yep.
to soup up the website a tad, but it is available. If you ask one of us, we can get you what you're asking for.
Absolutely.
Got beanies, hats, shirts.
Yeah, if you want merchandise, I'm hitting my microphone. If you want merchandise, hit up the Blockhead Nation podcast on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yep, and we will hook you up. We'll get it for you, and we're happy to send you the link. We do have a lot of the apparel already on a website, and we have ourselves a Dave who's helping us with the website, make it even better
Thank
Hey,
you,
now,
Dave.
Dave.
and more presentable to the world.
Love it.
All right, later, guys.
Take
Keep
care.
building.
Blockhead, yes, I